You're listening to Tales of the Unexplained with me, Peter Bircher.
And me, Alan Gibney. We'll be looking at the world of the paranormal, conspiracy theories and the mysteries of the ages.
The truth is out there. Hello and welcome to Tales of the Unexplained, the show that looks at the world of the paranormal, the conspiracy theories and the mysteries of the ages. I'm your host as always, Peter Bircher. Joining me is Dave Lloyd.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Dave's ready to go. It's actually a sunny, lovely sunny day here in the city of Liverpool, the wonderful city of Liverpool. We're recording live in Holt Road, Kensington on 106.7 FM radio. You can get that in the Liverpool region. You can also get us on Spreaker. The show will be on straight after, but there's lots of other shows, Dave, as well, isn't it, that we've done previously?
Oh yeah, there's loads, and it's just put it in Spreaker, Tales of the Unexplained, and they all come up.
Yeah, so we've got lots of shows there. So you can also get us on Facebook at LCR Liverpool Community Radio, Tales of the Unexplained. We're on Twitter and lots of other social media platforms. We are going around the world, and we are speaking to some very, very interesting people. We get some great feedback, Dave, as well, and it's certainly food for thought, though, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we what really interested me is when we talked to Mary Rodwell. We happened to catch her in Lytham St Anne's, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the probe.
And she actually lives in America. She was a nurse over here, and she's done over 3,000 regressions of people who feel like they've been abducted or they can't recall time, and they go into past lives and everything and what's actually happened to them. She was really, really interested. She's got her own book, which we bought, didn't we?
Yeah, the human. But to be honest, a lot of what we're going to talk about today, I'm quite excited because we've got Lisa Jane Phillips, who has her own radio show. David, you was on there recently, the Cry Freedom Show.
The Cry Freedom Show, it's great. It's on every Monday night, and she does something like a 3-hour show. She puts it all together and gets different guests, and I was one of the guests. I actually went over to where she lives, over the water, and we had a bit of lunch, and then we recorded a piece for the show, which went out on Monday night. Yeah,
so it was really good, and a lot of input into it as well. So we'll look forward to speaking to Lisa. We're going to talk today with Lisa about digital currency. Dave, you brought to me anyway, you sent over a video with Rishi Sunak. It was about this digital currency and how it's not about just obviously changing our financial structure. There seems to be a bit more of a conspiracy behind it, and the government's going to be involved in it. That's right.
Well, yeah, I think it's as far as this clip that we're going to play shortly, the G7. It seems like they've already agreed to it, and it's just a question of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Yeah. Now, the G7 are composed of Japan, Germany, France, Italy, Canada, USA, and us, of course, the UK. They're the G7.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the impact is. But Lisa we'll obviously have a discussion on that, and she will talk about a lot of other areas of interest. So we're looking really forward to that as well. And then the second half of the show is Apollomy Mandelion. Yeah, interesting name. Someone, I mean, part of it's a space program. We had Holly Baggio on a while back. She said that she was getting bleed through, that she'd been involved in issues on Mars and different types of things. But Apollomy is still active.
Apollomy, I think.
Apollomy,
Apollomy or Apollomy. I'm sure she'll tell us.
She'll tell us, won't she?
But the situation is that she is still in programmes, whereas Holly Baggio had finished. And only the other night she wrote a piece that's saying that she was abducted. Yeah. And a roommate looks for her and she's just not there. Yeah. So I want to go into that. Apparently she set up cameras and that to see whether she could film anything.
And it's some answers to some questions that we give Holly, because we were asking about where do you go, how do you get there. But hopefully that'll be imparted. So she's in Montana. Yeah. So she's about 6 or 7 hours behind. This beautiful place, Montana, as well.
Well, we're giving her a ring in an hour or so, and it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning. But I tell you, she's super intelligent, mate. Honestly.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to that chat. But listen, we'll get going with the first hour of the show. So this digital currency. So Dave brought this video to me. We had spoke about it before. I'd been looking into things, or
It was all pie in the sky, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of things was, and it was 20 years ago. I remember David Icke talking about it, digital currencies, but it's not just about moving money around. It's about how they're going to manipulate us, how they're going to control us. And when you look at what's going on in the world today, it does bring a lot of things forward that these things could be true. And then when you listen to the video and you see that, you know, it's our Chancellor of the Exchequer who's conducting.
Who's talking to camera,
who's talking to camera about this. It does make it really, really interesting. So let's listen in 6 minutes of this video, and it's really giving you an idea and a base to what we're going to talk about. So listen into this. This is very, very interesting.
So the UK is currently the head of the G7 group. That's the world's most economically advanced countries. And the UK currently chairs the G7 group. Our Chancellor, who does our economy, called Chancellor of the Exchequer, his name's Rishi Sunak. He put out this video saying that what they want to do is bring in this thing called the central banking digital currency. They want to replace fiat paper money with digital money as a competitor to Bitcoin and crypto money, right? But instead of being decentralized currency, it will be controlled by a government. It's digital currency, but controlled centrally through the banks, Bank of England. So instead of having a bank account with whatever, HSBC or Bank of America, you'll have a bank account directly with, in the American context, with the Fed. In the UK, directly with the Bank of England. You have a personal bank account, and you're given digital money in that bank account. These are called central banking digital currencies. The Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK has already announced their intention to do this as the G7 group. And these, if you look up...
this sounds terrifying.
If you look up the Telegraph newspaper,
central bank digital currency, is that the one down below?
Digital currency should be programmable. See that one there? Yeah. Now what they're doing is they're saying, you know, everyone knows that with inflation at over 5%, it's now 5.4%, right? Our fiat money, the paper money, is increasingly becoming worthless, and we're headed towards a big disaster. The Fed wants to raise interest rates. But we're in so much debt that if you raise interest rates, people are going to suffer because everyone, you know, we're living on debt as Western economies. So they realize that this kind of the lifespan of paper money is fast coming to an end because of the 2008 economic crash in particular. So they're bringing in these central banking digital currencies. Why is that word programmable in there? So what they said in that article, and the Chancellor put a video out saying this as well, they've said that this money that you will earn from work, instead of having paper money, you have this digital money. It's programmable so that you can't buy certain foods, or if you do something that your employer doesn't like, it's all in that article. You won't be able to spend your money. In other words, it's not money. They're vouchers. They're like food vouchers. And they can be programmed so that, like the Chinese social credit system, that if you try and use them on a certain thing, it won't work. You say you want to buy a burger and they want you to buy bugs, which is one of the examples used. If you start to try and buy unhealthy meat, just won't work. You tap your card, you can't buy the thing because you've met your quota that month of burgers. You have to buy something like a vegan meal.
So it won't just be money in the sense of the way we have dollars or pounds today.
Yeah.
It'll be something that's controlled in terms of your ability to distribute it.
Which is why I'm calling it a voucher. It's a coupon.
But even a coupon, if you have a coupon to buy bread, you can still buy the bread.
Yeah.
Like, there's
But you can't buy... See, that coupon to buy bread, what you can't do is buy a burger with that coupon. It's for bread.
Right.
Yeah?
Right. Do you feel like you're sounding the alarm?
Yes.
For people that don't understand what is going on?
So, here, I'll pull it up for you here, yeah? So there's the video.
The group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote. It could be used alongside...
Right, so that's the guy who runs our economy in the UK. His name's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And here is the article. Bank of England tells ministers to intervene on digital currency programming, yeah? And here's a quote from the article. Digital cash could be programmed to ensure it is only spent on essentials or goods which an employer or government deems to be sensible.
Holy shit.
I'm going to take it one step further for you, Joe, right? So the checkpoint Charlie exists everywhere. They bring in digital banking, central banking digital currencies. You've got a scenario now that you're checking in and out everywhere you go using vouchers that are programmed, and you can only spend where you're told you can spend them. There's another word for that, man. That's called the Chinese social credit system. So what they are telling us, and when I say they, who's they? People in power. That's the head of our economy, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, second most powerful person other than the Prime Minister and maybe the Foreign Secretary in the UK, right? He's telling us, I just played it there for you, he's telling us that's what he, as the UK, the head of the G7, want to bring in for the G7. And if I'm speaking to you the way I'm speaking now, and my employer or government, you heard that in the quote directly, yeah, deems me as saying or doing something inappropriate, suddenly I can't actually pay to come here and speak to you anymore. My digital currency won't even pay for the ticket, because it will be known that I'm coming to speak to you. Sorry, your vouchers don't allow you to purchase that ticket to go and speak to Joe.
And this is where we get into the kind of censorship that we see in social media that is not... You can't have that kind of censorship with the First Amendment in normal discourse. But you can have that kind of censorship if you've developed a digital platform that distributes information, but it's a private company.
Yeah.
So think about what money is, where you can spend it on whatever you want, versus this digital currency, which is essentially controlled in a sense, like you have free speech on Twitter, but you really don't. Because if you go too far or you talk about something that they don't find appropriate, they'll just ban your account. That could be what we're looking at in terms of what we think of as free speech being social media platforms, could be what we think of as your free range ability to buy whatever you want with whatever money that you've earned.
So what's going on here, right? What's going on here is, with this central banking digital currency, if you get to that situation where you end up with the Chinese social credit system in the West, why would anyone want to do that, right? I believe we're in a moment of the Gutenberg press. Go back to when the printing press was invented. Technology disrupts power structures. It always has. Printing and its invention was a new technology. What happened when they invented the printing press? The power structures, who up until that point were reading the Bible for you and were telling you that you've got to pay this priest X amount of favors and he'll forgive you your sins. And that became a bribery system, right? Which is what Martin Luther was so upset about when he pinned his thesis to the wall. The printing press disrupted that power dynamic because people could read the Bible for themselves. And they began realizing that the power structures were manipulating what was written to control people.
Okay, interesting, Dave.
Well, you got the gist of it, didn't it? The G7, seems like they've already agreed to it, and Richie Sunak actually talking to camera about it as well. You know, I talked about this a couple of years ago. It was all pie in the sky.
Yeah,
the Chinese, what they wanted is a Chinese social
and you did, and you were discredited in a lot of ways. Yeah. But on the line, joining us, Lisa Jane Phillips. How are you?
Good afternoon, guys.
Yes, there we go. We got it straight away.
Hi, Lisa.
Thanks for hanging on, Lisa. You're all right. Dave's here with me.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, love. You okay?
Yeah.
I'm not too bad. I hope you've all sung Happy Born Day today for yesterday, by the way.
Oh. We'll do Happy Born. Oh, yeah, big birthday. Yeah. I can't ask you your age. You're not allowed, are you? Or are you allowed?
Well,
okay. Moving swiftly on.
The digits add up to 11.
Well, Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. You know, obviously, we're glad to get different people on different levels. So, digital banking system, central bank digital currency. Dave sent a video over to you.
He did.
What do you think about this? Rishi Sunak's been obviously come out and spoke about the G7 about this. What's your take on things?
Well, obviously, a lot of us have been looking at this stuff for many years now, haven't we? And this isn't new news to us, is it? You know, the likes. I've known Dave for probably over 10 years now, and we've been looking at this sort of stuff for a long time. And we've been trying to warn people about all of this terrible system that is supposedly coming in. And it's, you know, you can scream till you're blue in the face, but most people won't listen to you because they're too busy trying to survive. And I get that, obviously, totally. So yes, this is something we've known about and heard about for a long time. Okay, well, my view on all of this is that in the end, we can talk about the evil people at the top, the evil so-called elite, until we're blue in the face. But there's one thing this comes down to in the end, and what it comes down to is how many people are willing to open their eyes and see what is being done and then say no. Right?
Yeah,
now, this is what we've been going through for the last 2 years, isn't it? Let's face it. We've been, those of us that have been sort of looking on this from above sort of thing, not to sound, you know, big-headed now, I don't mean it that way. I mean, we're looking at it from a different aspect, and we've seen what's gone on over the last 2 years with regards to the whole of the COVID thing. And how that's gone. And the sad thing is, that most of us have seen, is that the majority will go along with what they're told to do and believe it.
Manipulation by the media every single day, isn't it? You know, I mean,
absolutely.
It's even like what's going on in Ukraine. You know, the media, you don't know whether it's 100% true. You know, you're only watching what what they're they're relaying to you. You don't know whether it's 100% truth or not. But as far as the what they're trying to plan, I believe it's all part of Agenda 30. Agenda 21 was an agenda for the 21st century, signed by 193 countries in Rio de Janeiro in I think it was 1993. So it was a long time ago. And of course, now we're in the 21st century. They want it by 2030. All their things, all the plans that they are going to come into fruition. That's what they're trying to do. But what we need to try and do is wake up the 99% against the 1%. There's more of us than there is of them. But so many people are still doing daily things like work and bringing up kids. They just haven't got time to look into it until it really affects them. And of course, what we've got now is the perfect storm. You got interest rates going up. The VAT's gone up from 12.5% to 20%. Gas and electric's going up and up. It's going to go up again in October. So if you know where the final result is that they're trying to get to, you can see the different stages. And this perfect storm that we've got now against everybody in the country, we're being swept along a road that none of us want to be swept down. And they've already got the solution. People will be crying out because they're so much in debt and they can't make ends meet. They'll be looking for solutions, and they'll provide them with this digital currency. That's what I think could happen. I hope it doesn't, because you don't want to be getting rid of cash.
Yeah, but Lisa, do you believe? Obviously, you've done lots and lots of shows that there is a plan for this, and it's been a plan that's been set up many years ago.
There's many different ways of looking at this, and there's one thing that's for sure, Peter, is that none of us ever really know what is actually true. We know what we're told. We know the things that we're told in both the alternative world and the so-called, mainstream world, and none of us really know what's true. And there's one important part of all of this. We can go into all the nitty-gritty of all these little things that they're hurling at us, but there's one thing that keeps coming back to me, and that is, until people realise that they're not living the way they're meant to be living. Now, I tell you what, I've been watching, I have to put my hand up and admit, I've been watching BBC dramas lately, right? Now, the reason I watch them is I'm not watching them from the 3D perspective, I'm watching them from the 5D perspective with regards to looking at what they're showing you and telling you. And I tell you what, the overriding fact with all of these dramas is, and I'm talking about things like, I've been watching a drama series called Hidden, which is so dark and sort of, it's based in Wales. You've seen it, and all these different ones, and I mean, Sherlock Holmes is a prime one for giving you messages, and some people actually are saying that's run by the White Hats, because if you look at what was revealed in that last series of Sherlock Holmes, have you all seen it, by the way?
I've seen it, I mean, I can't recall the actual...
It was a while ago now, wasn't it?
Have you seen the one where they featured a guy called Culverton Smith, and he was a so-called entrepreneur? He was supposed to be running this sort of, all these charities. And he actually, they reckon that was based on Jimmy Savile, right? The whole of that was based on Jimmy Savile, because this guy, in this portrayal, in this drama, went down into the mortuary in this hospital and was doing these things with bodies and all sorts of things. It was Jimmy Savile, basically. And there was one point in that when he sat down with the kids, all these kids surrounding him in this hospital wing, and he started talking about, what if the Queen was a serial killer? What if the Queen was doing... Honestly, it's plain view sight, and some people think that was them laughing at us, telling us what's been going on, and I do believe that has been what has been going on. But some people think that was part of... If you're going along with the whole... Now, there's different aspects of this, the Trump and Q thing, where some people think that the light is being shown now. We're in the times of revelation, whereby things are being shown to people. Because if you told people everything that you believe has been going on in this world, in one foul swoop, most people would just have a brainstorm. They wouldn't be able to cope with the actual facts of what's gone on. And so they reckon this stuff has been milking out in all of these dramas. And the other thing I was going to say was, if you look at most of these dramas, it's about people that are so miserable, unhappy, depressed, alcoholic, you name it. And all these dramas are portraying this negativity, which is being programmed out to people. And if you believe in people like Dr. Emoto, if you believe in the power of water and what your energy can do to water and the fact that we're 70% odd water, then these things are on people all the time and changing their energy to negativity.
Dr. Emoto's work was amazing, wasn't it? He passed away a couple of years ago.
2014 it was.
Yeah, he flash froze different types of water from, mountain lakes and
that's right.
Some places that were dirtier, but he also programmed with different words of love and words with hate. And after flash freezing, the composition of the actual water under a microscope was completely different. The ones with love and good feeling and maybe a bit of classical music thrown in were perfectly structured, and the ones that hate was aimed against, murder and this, that and the other, turned out all malformed.
He's got an assistant, Dave, that's carrying on his work. He was his personal assistant. So we're going off topic here a bit, sorry guys.
Yeah, we'll come back.
It's all related, isn't it, really?
That's okay.
And his assistant, who's still living and following on with his work, apparently what he did as well before he died, Emoto paid for all these books to be produced showing these magnificent different images with the reactions of energy, and he had them given to children free all around the world to show, because he thinks children should be taught the importance of your thought.
Yeah, it's your intention. I buy 5-litre bottles of water, and I know you do different things with your water, Lisa, but I write affirmations on them, different words, love, hope, joy, this, that and the other, I mean, I don't know what it does any better, but if what Dr. Emoto was talking about, maybe it does, it can't do me any harm anyway. It's only costing me a couple of felt pens to write on the bottles, I've been doing that for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Dave, the proof of that is in the rice test, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, the rice test, yeah. He puts 3 samples of rice into bell jars, little jars, and he writes on them 3 different things. One he leaves completely nothing at all, and one with words of hate, and the other one with words of love. And after so many weeks, you come back, and the one in the middle has gone a little bit yellow. The one that with all the hate put towards it has gone brownish black, and yet the one that was words of love and encouragement was barely gone off-white. Yeah. So that was another test that he done,
And other people have proved this, Dave, as well. It wasn't just him. People in their homes have done this test, and they've actually publicised it on YouTube. They've done the same thing, and the same results have happened.
But I seen Dr. Emoto on Facebook, and I thought, blimey, heck, he died a couple of years ago, so it must be someone else carrying on.
Who's carried it on. But,
yeah.
but let's get back to obviously
right,
this.
Sorry,
it's fine going off on the tangent because this is all part of our show for the last 13 years. Yeah. So the central banking system, it's going to be based on this Chinese social
credit
system. Sorry, Dave, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
We done I done the research on the show about this social credit system. It must be 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And apparently what happens in China is you're given a starting thing of 1,000 points, for instance, digital points, if you like. And if you do things what the government thinks is good for yourself and good for them, they'll give you a few more points, which gives you a little bit more freedom. But if you fall below a certain amount, I think it's 600, you're regarded as a criminal, and all ways of doing stuff is closed off to you, so you barely any freedom at all. And of course, everything you do is trace. Every penny that you spend, or what you spend, whatever the currency is over there, is traceable. Do you know where you are 24/7, what you're doing, who you're with, because everybody's got these things on the phone, they can track it anywhere. You can track it on your phone here as well, but yeah, and that's what they're going to try and do here. And of course, the more regulation, the less freedom we're going to have,
Yeah. Now, obviously, Lisa, when we talk about that, it does seem a bit pie in the sky. It's total conspiracy, but then, we've just looked at the video, and there's Rishi Sunak
actually saying to camera himself,
who's actually speaking about it. It is quite scary, Lisa, isn't it?
Have you seen the news about Rishi Sunak today, by the way?
Oh, yeah. His wife.
About his wife. His wife is not paying tax, and they reckon she owes 4.5 million in tax, and they reckon, because her father is a billionaire, he runs the company Infosys. Infosys, sorry. Yeah. And they reckon she gets 500 million pounds. She's worth 500 million pounds. She gets 11.6 million a year, right? And so she's refusing to pay tax. Well, she's getting off on this blooming non-domicile status thing. So the point is, now we come back to the same thing here, don't we, guys? We come back to the point that we are being shown what these people are doing in these higher echelons, whatever you want to call them. Now, it's up to the person, it's up to us. We are the many, they are the few. It's up to people here to open their eyes and ask the question, is this fair? Why have they've been through 2 years of suffering to the highest extent. The businesses have been closed. Everyone's on their knees. And now they are putting up everything while they're getting all this money in. If people don't suddenly realise what's going on here and say no more, and it's up to us. We have the power.
Well, it's unbelievable. And then he got the audacity to say, as the fuel bill's going on, we're going to give everybody a £200 loan, which you'll have to pay back over 4 or 5 years. Now, not asking you whether you want it. They're going to give it to you, and then they're going to take it back off you over a certain amount of time, Yeah.
But I think the thing is as well, though, when I totally understand what you're saying, Lisa, but it's about pulling people together. Because if you look at the media,
I know.
I mean, if you look at politics and Jeremy Corbyn, whether you agree with him or not, but he was destroyed in the right wing media over the last couple of years, and to the point where he was an anti-Semite and racist. This is someone in the 80s who was protesting against apartheid before anybody else. So the power of the media is absolutely unbelievable. How do we stop ourselves being brainwashed and even sort of walking towards things like the central bank digital currency? How do we stop that, and how do we pull people together?
I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, because what will probably happen is, if it comes to fruition, you must hope it doesn't. First of all, I think they'll trial it somewhere, maybe a small town, and see how it goes for a couple of months, and they'll make it all the points through the media sound as if this is fantastic. We must do this. All debt will be squashed. You won't owe anything to anyone. But as Klaus Schwab says, you'll owe nothing and you'll be happy. And he's got another one of his instigators there called Harari, his last name is. And he's just as bad as him. He's talking about all the useless eaters and people. There's people who are not producing anything, So we'll all live together in harmony, but we'll have nothing.
Yeah.
So where's all the wealth and everything going? It's got to go somewhere, hasn't it?
The thing is, Dave, we've been talking about this, you and I, personally, for the last over 10 years now, right? Through different, we were both involved with Critical Mass Radio through one way or another. That was back in 2012. And the point is, I think, that the good news is, guys, because there's always good news, the good news is, back in 2012, there were few people that got us, it was we had a few hundred listening at the time, but it wasn't many, and most people didn't have a clue. Now, what's happening now after the last 2 years? Look at the demonstrations we've had in London over the last 2 years. Look at all the people around the world that are getting it. Now, in my view, we've already won, and this is a hard one to get across to people, because we're still surrounded by people that haven't got a clue. I'm still watching people walking around with masks on here, and the good news is our COVID testing centres finally closed in the precinct, which has made me very happy. But it's down to some people said that we won this battle a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but a few years ago. And the whole white hat thing, if you want to believe in that, and many people don't, because I think they're so used to disappointment and paranoia that they can't even see anything. But I can see changes happening already. Now, for a start, all these things that are coming into the news, even the BBC, that are telling us things about people like Rishi Sunak's wife, etc. Would that be coming out? If this was totally run by total evil, would any of this even be getting airtime?
Yeah, but you've got to watch out. If they're showing it's for a reason, it could be a distraction.
Well, that's what I was
They're not thinking about Partygate, are they, if they're talking about Rishi Sunak's wife, And
the thing is, Dave, you're still going off they're running it. What if they weren't? As I've said to you, as you know, we've had this conversation.
I've got an open mind. I think there's been leaps and bounds of progress as far as people understanding what's going on. What makes me think about this COVID situation was just in the last couple of weeks, it turns out there's more people died in the last few weeks than last February or something. And it's and they're talking about, well, I think because it doesn't suit the narrative, they're not even covering it now. They're saying that Have you seen what they're saying, Dave? They've said that now. They've said if you've had COVID, you could very likely get a blood clot within 6 months. That's what they're saying.
Oh, right. Without trying to scare the listeners. But again, going back to this currency, contactless, I use it all the time. It's not something that whatever I do, if I go into the shops,
you shouldn't be using it because you're part of making it happen. If you're using it,
well, tell us why we shouldn't be using contactless, please, Lisa. Tell us why.
Because I only use cash. I only ever use cash.
Cash is king.
Now, pardon?
Cash is king.
Not if you go to Aintree. But go on.
No, quite honestly, seriously. Now I'm in shops and I'm watching people at these checkouts now, and in so many many places now you have this automatic checkout, and you have the choice of also going to a manned checkout. And I never go to the automatic one.
Oh yeah, they do
Now,
my head in.
because if everybody starts doing that, you're leading towards us into this whole digital system.
Yeah.
If you're doing anything other than spending cash, and if you believe that this is an evil thing and you're still doing it contactless and by doing all these automatic things, then you're part of it, you're adding to it. You should be making a principle of paying by cash only. And I tell you what I love, when I go into my local Wilko here, and maybe I shouldn't be mentioning names of shops, but anyway, any old shop, I tell you what, there's still more people wanting to go into the one where they have a manned cash out than as opposed to the automatic one.
I never use those
day.
automated tills at all. Never.
But what about people who are working? They've got to get, they haven't got time to run to the banks because, again, they are closing banks down as well, aren't they?
No, there are cash machines everywhere. I'm sorry, but if the thing is, if you believe in this and you can see where it's going, you can't do it because you're just helping it happen.
Well, I went into a well-known coffee shop with a friend to have a cup of coffee, sit down, have a chat, and got to the thing, pulled a £10 note out. He said, "Oh, sorry, we don't take cash. We only take card." And I was aghast. I turned to, I said, "They don't take cash." So we ended up paying with his card. I never had my card on me. And I thought, blimey heck, is this the future? Now, the situation on the buses where you've got to have the exact cash. You could give a £5 note in for the £2.30 fare. They won't give you any change. So they're trying to make it where everything's on your phone there. You put your phone under with your bank details, and it takes the £2.30 out or whatever. And this is happening more and more in certain stores, I
was just going to say, it's all part of steering it towards it, and this is why those of us that see it have to do all we can to fight this. Because I'll tell you another story as well. A friend of mine went to try and deposit some money into Santander, right? Santander said, "We don't take cash. You can't deposit cash anymore." What?
The bank?
What?
The bank?
Yes. Santander said, "We can't take money. We can't. You have to do it all electronically." I just what?
And I was going to say, more and more of those cash machines are disappearing. And if you notice, they charge some of them now, especially with students. They charge you £1.99. So if you wanted to get 20 quid out, you'd only get 18 quid.
And in certain locations where you're going to have to get it if you want money as well, aren't you? But with inflation, the banknotes are going to start to disappear as well, aren't they? And there's stories now that the £20 note's about to come out of circulation soon as well.
But as I said to Peter before, David Icke talks about, if you know the direction which they're wanting to push you down, the road that they're wanting to push you down, you can eventually see where they're trying to push you to. And all these different things, like not being able to get a cup of coffee without paying, you can't pay cash. You've got to use your card in various different places, and you see it here, there, and everywhere. And slowly, we're being pushed down the road, and it's so slow that people don't really realise it. I've got a friend everywhere he goes, he just pays with his card.
But that's what I'm saying, Dave. Everything, I think that's here already. And people just don't understand it. But the sinister part. But
it's good in a way, as long as you've always got cash. As long as you've always got cash, you've got a choice. As soon as that cash is taken away, you're in really bad trouble then, because there's various things they can do.
The more and more people that get used to using these other ways, then the more likely that is to happen, isn't it? And the biggest enemy, I get back to it again, quite honestly, the biggest enemy we have are ourselves. But I mean, I don't know about you three, but you two, sorry.
Yeah.
You're all,
not a spirit here. At least you scared us then.
No, I was thinking of I was thinking of Massey, who I spoke to before. Yeah. It's like we get it, and I don't know about you guys, but I was brought up slightly differently from most people, which is fantastic, because my parents were outside of the box, and they were anti-royal, they were non-religious, they were anti-Tory, and whatever. I don't believe in parties anyway, to be honest. Quite frankly, I think it's all part of the same game. But they were against a lot of things, and so I grew up out of the box, and that set me on the sort of the line to go into a different way of life. And they say that it takes a big kick. You get something that happens in your life, an immense trauma that sort of makes you suddenly look outside of the system. And for me, it was my dad dying in 2010 unexpectedly on his anniversary, which was a bit shocking. But anyway, that pushed me. And then after that, all the things that happened to me after that, I'd been paying a mortgage on a house for 16 years. I had an interest-only mortgage. I was struggling like hell. And there was one moment I had a light bulb moment, and I thought, enough. I left my job, I left the house, walked away from my house, just put the keys to the door, walked away, left them to it, and went to live with my mum to look after my mum because my dad had died. And that was my turning point. And right after that, I got involved with Critical Mass Radio. And then once you do all of that and you're on that journey, your whole life changes. And so that's happened to me. That's happened to probably you guys in some way as well. Because I don't know, how long have you two been looking out of the box individually?
Well, it's been years, hasn't it? Because funny enough, Lisa, after doing a few shows with you at Critical Mass, a friend, Mark Rosney, asked me to go on another station, Big Radio City, and I started doing a few shows there. So we went slightly different ways. You were with Critical Mass, and then eventually, after a couple of years, you were studying and researching. You ended up got your own show, which is absolutely amazing. How you put it together each couple of weeks.
It is. I remember 20, 30 years ago, I remember I listened to Nicky Campbell on BBC Radio 2, and he was doing some sort of night show, and he was actually speaking to a guy who said he was from Roswell, he was an alien and blah. And I remember at my age, I was only about 17, 18 at the time, and it was totally bizarre. And I don't know why I was there, but sometimes you think I was meant to be there.
Oh, it resonates with you in some way.
And I followed it through, and then the normal psyche, or the normal pattern of my life wasn't to question anything like that. I was playing football in the street and going to watch the football at the weekend. But I started to question, and then David Icke picked his book up, and then you start to work your way down this path. And then you experience different things. I got involved in religion again, and then I fell out of love with it, and then there's all these different things. So I totally agree with what you were saying there, Lisa. Sometimes you just get to the point where you go, I'm just going to go with this, because you'll go through ridicule as well. As soon as you mention some of the things that I've seen and witnessed and spoke to, and same with you, Dave, I'm sure with you, Lisa, you go through that ridicule phase, don't you? People laugh at you and go, no.
Oh, yeah.
But we're getting to that point now, and I think that's what we're talking about here now.
Yeah.
This thing is right on our doorstep.
The tide is starting to turn slowly, but it is starting to turn. How long have we been doing this show?
Yeah, we've been going about 13 years now. Again, Mark,
with a couple of gaps in between.
Yeah, and we've been doing it, and we cover all these things. But again, we're back to this again because Dave has spoke about it previously. But we're tiptoeing either to totalitarianism, or we're going to tiptoe to a spiritual awakening. And the big thing is the fact that we can talk about it takes us on the right path, because totalitarianism, we're seeing it now, aren't we? What's going out?
It's unbelievable.
And do you think we're going to be awakened, Lisa? Are you optimistic about it?
I'm very optimistic about it, and believe me, I have my moments when things get too much, because do you know what, to be quite honest, I think we're in the worst position here in some ways, because the people that don't get it still, that are still kind of just not seeing anything, they've had a hard 2 years guaranteed. They believe there's this killer terrible thing, and they've had all these horrible thoughts, and it's been hard for them with the businesses and all of that. But for some ways, in many ways, it's been harder for us, because we've known this was coming, and I knew as soon as this stuff happened, this charade started in the beginning of 2020, I knew what it was, and some of us have had to watch this play out over the last 2 years.
It has played out, hasn't it?
From the start. And then the worst bit, obviously, the very worst bit was when people started queuing up for that jab, and we knew what it was going to be. And this is why you have to laugh, because the BBC are now reporting things, saying this, it's if you get a blood clot in the next 6 months, it's only because you had COVID. It's not because you've had 3 jabs of who knows what into you. It's been hard to watch, hasn't it?
Yeah, but not to scare the listeners too much. It is something alleged from the BBC and stuff like that, isn't it? You know, and people had to do it for the roles as well, isn't it, and stuff like that.
There was a pushback, wasn't it? Because that surgeon guy, the little, what was his name? Not Rishi Sunak, the other guy. Oh, blowing heck! He interviewed him, and it was on the BBC News, saying, "Well, if you've got the antibody build-up after you've had COVID, there's no need to get a jab." And that one piece that he put through on the news at prime time stopped all the nurses in the country getting mandatory jabs, because up to then everybody had to have a mandatory job by April, or you lost your job. And it was only that so many thousands of people would have lost their jobs. I mean, the NHS is in turmoil anyway, through lack of staff, and they're completely changed.
So the good news, guys, I was going to say before, the good news is then, so yes, I'm very positive, because people are starting to see the amount of people, as I said, I've got it on my website, the people marching through London, the thousands of people on that particular day. I think it was either last year or the year before, but whichever one it was. And it's just, compared to what we were used to in the CMR days, you get a couple of hundred if you're lucky. If you're lucky. And those chemtrail awareness days we got, there was like sort of a handful of people there.
We were there, weren't we, Lise? We were there,
Yeah. But now it's massive, and so surely this has got to be a good sign, and this has got to be a gradual process. And personally, this is just my point of view from everything I've looked at. I believe that we're on a turning point because humanity was heading down a very dark and deep path, and all right, it's instigated by people that have been running the show, but there's certain things happening all over the world with regards to things disappearing and Buckingham Palace being closed, Washington being closed off, all these things that are happening. Now, some people would say that was going to happen because they're going to bring something else in, which is going to be even worse, possibly. But I don't want to think that way. And if energy, Dr. Emoto, if you want to believe in energy, believe the good thing. And I see good things happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works now. Get
ready, Lisa. This happens every show.
Getting back to digital currency, wait till you hear this. No. An executive that worked for the World Bank for about 20 years, her name is Karen Hudes, Hudes, says that the whole banking system, all the 13 families that are supposedly ruling the world, all the banks, the Vatican and everything, are actually run by what she calls the cone heads.
Absolutely.
And these are aliens with elongated heads. So straight away she said they've been in charge for hundreds of thousands of years, and she said that even if you look on the walls of ancient Egypt, you'll see carvings of pharaohs or something with elongated heads, and it makes you think. The people who put these elongated heads actually into the stone with hammer and chisel, surely they would have had their heads lopped off if it wasn't a true representation of what they looked like at the time. And she says these have been behind the scenes manipulating humanity for thousands, tens of thousands of years.
She was sacked. It says here that she was actually sacked from the World Bank for whistleblowing in regards to money laundering, a lot of what was going on as well. And the sinister part of it, and she had a very senior position as well.
That's when she comes out with something like that, you have to say, well, why would she say that?
All right then, I follow a guy called Charlie Freak very much, which I know Dave's heard of, but you possibly haven't, Peter. But have you heard of him?
No.
Right, okay. So there's another guy that everybody else listens to called Charlie Ward, who you've probably heard of him.
Yeah.
Right, okay, everyone's heard of Charlie Ward. Right, now, I had an interview with Charlie Ward that I instigated back in 2020 because I first of all used to listen to him all the time, and I went along with it because we were all looking for hope in these times. Now, and then he started, after everything he'd said, he suddenly went on a programme with a guy called John Mappin from Camelot Castle, and they were both saying how much they loved the Queen on that programme. Now, after everything he'd said before that just totally blew my mind, and I'm like, what? What?
So we've done a 180.
So I thought, I've got to bring him to task over this, and I cancelled it 3 times because I didn't really want to put myself out there, and he was on this big forum, wasn't he? But in the end, I did it, and I did an interview with him, and I asked him why he said that, and the first time he skirted around it, he wouldn't answer me, gone on to something else. And in the end, he just said, oh well, I made a mistake. I meant to say I used to be a huge fan of the Queen, and I thought, yeah, right, okay. And anyway.
So it sounds like he's a chameleon. He just wants to, he'll change things to whatever everyone wants to hear,
Well, I'm not being funny, Dave, but you look at what he even admits to. He was mixing with people like Jimmy Savile on Top of the Pops. He was getting underage girls to go there, and he's been moving.
Well, be careful now. Allegedly. Throw a few allegedlys in.
He says it himself on all his shows. He admits it. And he says, I used to go on planes moving money around for rich people. He says it all. It's all there. And I wonder if this is to get people to discern. Maybe this is the age of discernment, and it's about not believing everything you hear just because you want it to be true. It's about listening to the bits between the lines and thinking, hang on a minute, I need to ask a question there. Don't you think?
The only thing is, I see with these governments, though, I mean, if you look at, again, Boris Johnson, to me, he's not a great leader. He's not a prime minister. No. There's just something that appeals to people. That they can just draw them in. They can discredit Jeremy Corbyn, who's doing, what I said earlier, to someone who's just incompetent.
The thing about him is he has got a bit of charisma, and I think that's the only thing that saved him. He has got a bit of personality about him, But do you think people are scared to question things anymore as well, in case they're getting into trouble? I mean, if you look at places like Russia or anything like that, you say anything, you're dragged away. You're jailed and you're in prison straight away. Same in China.
I don't think people are scared. I think the people that were always going to question things will carry on doing so, as will I, as will you guys, as will many others. But I think some people never even think that way. They don't even remotely think of questioning because
I think what it is, though, Lisa, is the people who've got a higher profile, they're on TV and such, they've got to be very careful, otherwise they just won't get anywhere. A bit like when we interviewed Maggie Clark, and she came on the Chemtrail Awareness Days, and she is very switched on about everything. And she said she's got to be careful what she says, otherwise she just won't get employment again.
So, Dave, there comes a time when you have to stand in truth, and if you are prepared to still, now we get to give you a sort of a comparison of this, it's people working within the NHS. There comes a time when you have to question things and say, am I still going to do this? Right, yes, I want my mortgage paid, etc., and I get that, but am I prepared to do this knowing what it's actually doing to the majority of people, which is so bad? You've got to have that principle in the end, haven't you? You've got to be you've got to have integrity.
Yeah, but
I know it's hard. But
but integrity. But ultimately, what's your truth for everything, Dave? Lisa, what's your truth? You know, we seem to be going on this journey, which you're openly speaking about. But what's your truth of what you see? How humanity needs to move forward away from digital banks, away from financial systems, totalitarianism. What is the ultimate truth then for people?
I'll let you go first, Lisa, because I can't think of anything right now.
Well, I tell you what my truth is. My truth is that there are a lot of people out there now questioning what is going on, and it's fantastic. Yeah. Now, it's nowhere near the majority. I don't even want to estimate how many people have probably been jabbed. I don't know. If I was going to estimate without any information in my own head from what I've seen outside, I'd say maybe 75 to 80% possibly have had this. Now, my view is now that there are some people out there that are never going to get this. They're never, and certainly not now. I've got a friend who was have on the show, Ali, who lives in Ireland, and what she's still seeing there, nothing's changed there. They're still as scared of all of this. They're still testing every day and wearing masks. So my view is that there comes a point where, and so many people are getting this within their own families now. It's been so hard for so many people. But there comes a point where you have to see that division, and it can't be. There's no real way that it can be made up now. And I think it's going to come. Now, getting back to digital currency, what if this did come in? What if you're going to live in this 3D system without looking outside the box, you're going to get that? And so what does that mean? That means those of us that are looking at it in a different way have got to get up and do something different. And that all comes down to, in the end, becoming self-sufficient and not reliant on anyone else but yourself for your survival. And that's the only way, I think, now, quite honestly.
Yeah, and it is things. It's even simple things like growing your own food and utilising all that type of stuff, isn't it?
That's not simple. That's not simple. That's major.
It is major, but years ago that was the simple thing. That's how people done things. You went home and your mum done your tea of a night, and it was back to the old sort of life. But we just seem to be in this 24/7 world. Whether it might be generated on purpose to just keep us not thinking, because we're just moving and moving and moving. Technology's been great because it's brought us so close together. Yet we've never been so divided, if you look at what's going on in the world as well. And it's obviously people like yourself, and it is all opinion and stuff, but it's the ultimately just making life better. Is that what it is for the human species?
It's being happy.
Yeah. And this is certainly not going to help it, because that control will not let you be happy and not allow you to be free. But the stealth part of it is what we have to break, isn't it?
Yeah, I think on a global scale, the idea is to raise the frequency so people see things in a slightly different way, and if they can bring other people with them, by the likes of us trying to relay stuff to them, where just plant the seed, and they may go and look for themselves about certain subjects, whether it's chemtrails or whether it's about the jab or whatever's going on with this digital currency that they're going to try and bring out, Agenda 30, different things like that. We've got to just try and let people know, be aware, and once you're aware of something, it's up to you to make the choice of whatever you want to do.
Dave, you said something very key before. You said that now it's affecting everybody in regards with what's happening with regards to all these hikes and prices and everything.
Yeah.
What if, now just putting it out there, what if all of this was being done because people are so, I'm not saying going to say comfortable, because most people aren't comfortable, but most people are going along with it. What if this is the big kick that people are going to get to think, hang on a minute, this is not right.
Yeah.
What if that's
you could
what's
well be
now?
right. Well, it's a perfect storm, isn't it? Everything's against everybody, and people can only see it getting worse.
Yeah. So it could either be this. So as you're saying, this could be the kick, because I think also people are at the point where as well, where they're thinking, I'm fed up with being interested in anything anymore. I'll just go along with it now as well. So it's what direction you're going to go in, isn't
So
it?
it could be
as an individual.
It could be a precursor to this digital system.
Yeah, but it is in
Also.
place, and I think it's in place. I think your contactless, your card, it's all there now. You go to the pub today, you go to the shops today, you beep, and you're out there.
Well, there was a
You're
time.
logged, and
There
everyone
was a
come on
time
to you.
in one of the main places where you get your coffee in your big bar place. I won't mention the name. Where it had to be on your card.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take cash.
Yeah, and in China. Sorry, Lisa.
Here's a question for you. No, don't. No, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. Go on.
Here's a question for you then, Peter. Are you going to stop doing contactless? Because I think you should.
I am now, yeah, because
really
you sound quite scary, Lisa.
He's winking at me, Lisa. He's winking.
Never mind, Rishi Sunak. You seem to be a bit more scary than
I'm so not scary.
No. To be honest, it is food for thought, and there is people doing these things individually, and then it becomes a collective thing, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
And that's something we definitely need to look at. But this is coming. And the evidence is there, and it shocked me when you sent me the video, because I
You wouldn't have believed it, would you?
No, a bit like yourselves. I've been looking into this for 20 years, and you think, yeah, but it's tiptoed, and it's right on our doorstep. Do we want to go down that way? Where in China, the social credit system, they will monitor everywhere you
Everything.
go. They do it now anyway.
Yeah.
But is it for sinister purposes? And
Well, it's for total control, isn't it? You know.
and do we have trust in governments? And we don't really, do we? You know,
No, definitely not.
yeah.
Can I bring off something, guys?
Yeah.
Getting back to what Dave said about the cone heads before.
Yeah.
And with regards to all these inscriptions on the Egyptian monuments, etc. Right, the film Prometheus.
Yes.
Yes, you've both seen it, yeah?
Yeah.
A long time
Right,
ago.
okay, so that bit in Prometheus, and I think I've got the right film, where you see the alien coming down to Earth and he's basically spawning life on
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people, one of the conversations that Charlie Freak always has is that most people believe they're related to apes, and his argument against this is that that was true, and it was the ape and then us. Where's all the in-between things? You've got the chimp, you've got the gorillas, and you've got us. Where's all these things that graduated up to us?
And a
They're
big
not
fuss.
existent. Why is that? Now, lots of people believe, and this is why you've got these inscriptions on these monuments, that we were created by an alien species, and we've got their DNA within us as well.
Yeah. I believe that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I watched something with Courtney Brown. Now, he's in charge of the Farsight Institute, which is to do with remote viewing. They're completely different to military remote viewing. They have these people who are absolutely amazing, and they went back to see who built the pyramids. They went on different planets, on the moon, and at every occasion when they've gone into this state where you go from A to B, you're just given a map reference there. They're always saying that there's ETs there as well, and ETs. There's no way they could have built the pyramids. They've used some sort of frequency technology to lift the stones, because you can't just carry 20-ton stones on rollers on sand.
Yeah.
It's just going to sink. You know, it's ridiculous what they were trying to.
And it's not just one.
Oh yeah,
there's hundreds, thousands,
all over the world,
over the world as well, in different places, but different civilizations, as Lisa was saying there. These people. They're in caves in parts of Africa. They're in caves in South America. Civilizations that didn't even cross over with each other.
That's
never
right.
ever met.
Yeah.
And they're still obviously experiencing these.
They're talking about the stones, the way they're actually carved. There's no cement or anything in between, and it's a couple of thousand years old, and you couldn't even put a cigarette paper in between them. You know, they're that close.
But Lisa, our hour for the first part nearly up as well. So
it's unbelievable.
Thanks so much for coming on. We'll have a little chat about your show very quickly. But would you plan on coming and getting involved with us again in the near future?
Of course, absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So the Cry Freedom show, where you at? Where you up to? And what's your direction at the moment? How do people contact yourself?
If you want to find my website, it's thecryfreedomshowwithlisa.com. And I'm on YouTube. If you look for Lisa Cry Freedom on YouTube, and essentially, so I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And somebody said if you're still the same as you were 10 years ago at this very point now, then you're not doing what you're meant to be doing. And I've sure changed, and I've been through a lot, and I've seen a lot of crap. I believe me. And I tell you what, I never really even knew about backstabbing till I entered the truth group. Bloody hell! Anyway, sorry, Dave, I swear then. Sorry, but yes, seriously though, you learn so much, and a lot of people say, and I truly believe this: the only way we get to strength and knowing is through learning and hard times. And so we all have, you can't just have a life of bliss, because then you become, this is what this happened to some of these rich people, and then they've had everything and they've never learned really anything. You have to go through hardship, and you have to, as Jordan Peterson says, you have to understand benevolence, because if you don't understand the evil in this world, you'll never be able to do anything within it. So yes, that's all my kind of thing. I'm trying to be positive on my shows now. I'm trying to attract people, and I don't have a great audience, but I'm trying to attract people to give them some sort of hope for the future, because so many people within this so-called truther thing now are feeling so down that they can't see any way ahead. Everything is doom and gloom, and we're basically, we're done for as far as they're concerned. I don't believe that. I think there's so much happening now, and I think this is the catalyst. Everything, whether you believe in Trump or not, Trump has been a catalyst for so much stuff coming out. The whole Q thing has been a catalyst for so much coming out. So this has got to be a good thing, and it depends how you embrace it yourself. If you're going to sit back and think, oh, God, we're all done for, I'm just going to get drunk every night, then you're not going to help anyone. You need to see that there is hope now, and everybody, it's about community, it's about the human heart. And I tell you what, this whole Ukraine thing has been hard to watch, because a lot of us know what it really stands for and what the Ukraine has been. And it's basically been the centre of sort of like a Nazi, the whole Nazi thing, and everyone's flying these flags. But the good news is that even though they don't get it, people's hearts are still there, and they're still trying to help people, and they're feeling sorry for these people there, and that's humanity in the heart of humanity, and that's what gives us hope.
Yeah, brilliant. And on that note, no, thank you, Lisa. It's been a wonderful and enlightening.
I'm very passionate, Peter.
Yeah, no, well, you've just proved it. That's exactly what we should be doing. And again, it's what our radio show. We're trying to just give some answers, raise some questions for someone who's just sitting there doing their normal job, and you might just put something in there. Might you?
Somebody listen to this and say, well, do you know what? I'll have a look at that and see whether that's true or not. Just plant the seed, seed in the garden of.
But the thing is, Lisa, we're all on people's side as well, aren't we? We're not out to discredit people, make things harder for them. We're on your side. That's the reason why we do it.
We're all one. We're all one.
Exactly. It's another show.
Can I just say to end, well done to you all, you guys, what you're doing there. I know you're making some breakthroughs with what you're doing with the station, so well done.
Yeah, thanks. And it is a community station. We do lots in the area, and we're speaking to people all over the world as well. So it's about getting that message out there and being one.
Because all our shows go on Spreaker, don't they? Same as yours, Lisa. So it's great stuff.
So we'll be out there.
Well, I'll start advertising you guys on my shows as well. Not that I get any listening, but I'll start plugging you as well.
Well, we'll do likewise on yours.
Yeah, brilliant. Lisa, thank you so much. And we'll be in contact soon, and we'll get you back up over onto Tales of the Unexplained.
I look forward to it, and thanks very much for asking me. I feel very honoured. Thank you.
All right, cheers, Lisa. Take it easy, love. Bye-bye for now.
All right.
Take care. Guys. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.